Talk to them boys that sat on them benches, boy. I was in the game on 4 inches. Coach put me in the game on 4 inches.
Hello and welcome back to SML 4th and Inches, the greatest show on connected franchise mode. I'm Primetime 000, joined by AJ. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. How are you, Brian?
Hey, man, I'm fired up. And if you guys don't know, SML 4th and Inches, it's a show inspired by multiple segments, different ideas, creative ideas. Episode 2 right now. AJ, you were selected. You were one of the hot young prodigies, primer admin. What else do? You do a bunch of stuff. You're on other shows, and now you're here. Why SML 4th and Inches?
Well, you had a call to arms of anybody that wanted to join in on the most professional, podcast in the Sim Madden League world. So here we are.
Yeah. And let's start off segment number 1. On the spot. So this is a new segment we're unveiling today where SML members have direct messaged me and they've said, hey, you know what? I got a question and we're going to submit this question. And if you guys have questions in the future, DM me and we'll put it in there. But first one, we'll get this one out of the way. It's talked about often. Who is the real next big thing? Who's the real next big thing? We talk about it all the time. Guys' names get thrown around. Who do you think, AJ?
First of all, who submitted this question?
Oh, it's anonymous, but I'll tell you anyway. Who was it? Good question. Meats.
I got you. Well, I'll give you my honest answer. I still think Straw is going to end up being the MVP. Wow. And the reason I say that is I'm going to back it up with some cold hard facts here and also pat you on the back a little bit. So I'm sure you'll appreciate this.
Okay.
All right. So all the best teams this cycle, at least going in, that most people would agree with, Bengals, Eagles, Chargers.
Yeah.
Guess who all has Zimbardies?
All of them.
Those teams.
Yeah.
Right. Where did Straw pick last year? Do you remember?
32?
Dead last.
Oh.
Okay. The Rams. Okay. He's got the Rams. If you look at his roster now, it does not look any more appealing than it did when he got the team, to be honest. He lost the best player on his team, which was, Aaron Donald.
Yeah, he was a freak.
Arguably. The only team that has one in Zimbardi that doesn't have one of the top teams would be you.
Yeah.
So there is one outlier there, but you've got 23 of them now?
Yeah. We got some weapons now.
Okay. Well,
and some parties. 22.
So in this cycle, tough one for Straw to come in and be asked to be the MPT with the 32nd pick. I think teams 100% do matter. Abilities matter. So that's who my pick. And let's just see what Straw does next season when he gets a better team. Who knows? He may get his beloved Eagles.
Yeah, I think that Straw one is an interesting one. I think the problem with Straw is he's so rich, he goes on too many vacations to ever realize that potential. But as a passer, he is dynamic. I've always been a firm believer that the next big thing isn't chosen by somebody and it chooses you. It's like when you go out and you haven't really been around anybody that's sick and you get sick. That's kind of the next big thing. And I'm still beating the drum of double rice, no bean. I think double rice, no bean is the next big thing. And I feel like sometimes we say the next big thing or we coin somebody with it because they have potential. Double rice, no bean has proven to be a consistent playoff contender. He can beat Dan. He plays that style. The problem with Bean is he's a little bit of a roller coaster. He's either really high or he's like really low. And I think if he can level that out a little bit, he's going to be better. But I'm still beating that drum. And if I were to say a close second, it's KP. I think KP's got all the potential in the world. His late game kind of clutch gene, kind of low, but I think he could be a legit competitor.
Yeah, I like the Bean pick. I think a guy like that, when he finally does get over the hump, I think that'll be good for him.
Yeah.
Just getting to a conference title game or getting to the Super Bowl would be huge for a guy like that. So yeah. I like that pick.
Yeah. I was just smiling. I was reading the second question. Did you want to read the next entry into our into our on the spot?
Curious who asked this one too. Who in the who in the SML would you not let date your daughter? I'm gonna let you go first. I'm interested to
That's a
see
good
what you have to
question.
say here.
I've got three people.
Three.
Yeah, I got Woods, Straw, and White. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm going for I'm going for maybe I should block that out. I'm going for you actually took mine. I'm looking at your notes, so now I'm reeling a little bit here.
Look, I have a backup. You can take mine, and I'll choose my backup.
Okay, I'm going Monty. I'm going Monty. I feel like Monty, he's actually a good guy, and I feel bad even saying it because he's got such a good heart. But I've seen the scares in chat, and I've seen the amount of just recklessness sometimes, and I'm like, oh, like would I want my daughter with that? Probably not. But he's a good guy, and he's kind hearted, and he'd probably take care of her. I don't know. What about you?
All right, so another good guy that I say this in jest for the most part. Go with QP though. Man, that guy would scare me as a dad and got that slick back hair, you know. He's a Cali guy. He's a smooth
He
talker.
comes in.
He's I'm sure he's a great guy. I know he is. But if I were a dad and that guy came home with my girl, I'd be concerned.
Yeah.
We'd be, night number one, we'd be sitting down and just, I'd have
Cleaning
a
a
shotgun in
shotgun.
my lap. Yeah, exactly, exactly. We just have a little talk. That's it. Just a little talk.
That's a good one. That's a good. I actually I changed my pick to Gutta. I know Gutta a little bit in private, and he's downright nasty. Gutta is. So I Monty, I love you too much. I think you're more tenderhearted than Gutta is. And actually, an SML meetup, I was a chauffeur for QP and Gutta. And Gutta was already like working on my wife. Like he was asking her questions about her nails. And I knew he didn't care about her nails, but he was asking about her nails. And I was like, okay, he's trying to get somewhere with this. And if I was going to say if she wasn't married, if I wasn't around, what would have happened? So I'm concerned if it was my daughter. So Gutta's my answer. Do I bleep out the last, my first answer? Do we keep it going? I don't know. We'll find out. So next question by a fan of the show. Thoughts on adding run commit deep inside the red zone? For example, inside the 3-yard line or inside the 5, do you add a run commit? Right now it's banned in the SML. This guy is saying, do we allow run commit for certain situations?
Well, let me ask this because I truly don't. Why was the rule banned to begin with?
So back when the league started 8-9 years ago, run commit was really, really overpowered. And we just haven't changed it since.
Was it the same as it is now, where
No.
it's like total blitz package,
So back then you could only run commit one way. It was strict run commit. Now you could do left or right or down the middle. You could run commit down the middle and they would just get there like in a half a second. It would just, everybody would come, but it was like a half a second and it was insane. Now it's not so much the case.
Yeah, I feel like too now that I haven't really used it at all, but this cycle, but years ago I remember it being where like if you run commit, like if they throw the ball, like guys
Yeah.
running free, it's easy six. Like so part of it, that's kind of why I don't really have an issue with it. It's a very much a risk versus reward thing. On the goal line, it would kind of get annoying if you're on the 1 yard line and the guys just run committing you and you can't get 1 yard on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be the case or not. But I'm open to it personally. I think it would be good. The guys that overutilize it will be burned by it. The guys that use it sparingly will probably, it'd be a nice thing to add on the goal line.
Yeah. For me, I'm actually open to adding it as a rule. What I need to do and what I would like to do is find somebody in the league who maybe is watching this video and they're like, hey, I kind of want to see this rule added. I want to run several tests. I would like to run a test from the 35-yard line. If we made a rule that said, hey, anything on 1 yard or shorter or inside the 5-yard line, you can do it. Or if it's like a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or shorter down the field, you can. I want to see what happens if you run commit And does the defensive back then jump back? Like, what if this guy run commits inside the 5-yard line and you want to throw a fade, and because you know this guy's tendency is to run commit, and the cornerback somehow steps forward, then he realizes it's a pass and he jumps back and gets the interception. I'm afraid it has potential to still maybe be overpowered, and I would like to run several tests in a connected franchise mode on simulation setting multiple times and multiple coverages, man coverage, zone coverage, to make sure that it's not too overpowered. Because now if you run commit left and somebody runs to the right, maybe you still get a touchdown. And I think that would be legit. But I would like to test these things because it's banned in our league and I don't practice, so I don't know what it would be like.
So I think that's the smart approach.
So yes, that's what a savvy commissioner would do, of course. Now, next segment. Would you like to introduce our next segment? I know you've had quite a bit of say in this one, and obviously you have an opinion on some things.
All right, so 4th and 5. Rather than just a top 5, we like to give, just 5 things in the SML that we want to discuss. So for this week, I saw several of these appear in chat literally just today, so they were fresh on my mind. And that is the 5 most tired sticks in the SML this cycle. All right, so we'll start with number 5 for me. This one hits me in the heart a little bit. It's Fig with Josh Allen is bad and I should bench him. You could throw Dan in there too, since that was kind of last cycle. Yeah. But Dan's always like, I told you in this one. But to me, it's like one of those situations like one kid walks a mile to school and the other one drops out. You know what I mean? Like some people are so, you got Matt starting Rosenberg and you got Fig complaining about 99 overall across the board, Josh Allen. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It needs to end.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my number 5. Number 4, this one kills me because I see it a good bit too. It's Coop. Anytime there's any way to throw Madden under the bus as a game, and I know Coop at this point, sharing a division with him. Coop plays a lot of head-to-head for a guy that claims that he hates the spring game. He's always like, yeah, I was experimenting head-to-head. Formation sums aren't working, this and that. And this guy knows a lot about this game. Somebody that absolutely despises it.
No wonder why he hates it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's the case. But anyways, Coop's always posting the gifts like, oh, thank God it's the bye week. Thank God it's this. So, I feel like it's a little bit of his brand now. It's just
who he is.
Number 3, we got Dan. I figured some things out. I'll tell you after the cycle. I feel like he only says it after a loss too.
It is.
Which is, everybody figures out what they did wrong after a loss. I think that's kind of, maybe Dan's trying to keep up his Mad Messiah like persona a little bit, and that's his way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's a little bit tired of that.
The weatherman is what I call him.
Yeah, the weatherman, and there's some truth to that. But I think it's a little, after every loss, it's getting a little much. All right.
Yeah.
Love you, Dan. All right, second, I'm gonna throw one at you, Brian. It's coming in the chat randomly. It's like 2:30 in the middle of a workday. Guys, I don't know how this took a lot out of me. I'm fading fast. I mean, come on. What are you, one of the youngest guys in the league?
28.
How many years does one Simbardi take off your life? I mean, if that's what we're doing, then maybe I'll give you a case there. But
here's my. Can I rebuttal now, or do we want to wait till the list is done?
You can get it off your chest.
I want to get it off my chest. So, SML is 9 years old. I've always said each commish year is like dog years. So you take 1 year in the SML, that's like 7 real life years. So you take 9 times 7. That's like, I'm not good at math. Where's Doink at? Get a calculator. That's 63 plus my 28. So that puts me at like 1? That's aging me fast, man. Look at these bags under my eyes. This is stress. You can think Meats and Doink and Polly and Tiny, everybody.
All right, fair enough. I'll give you that one.
Thank you.
Permission to continue. All these shticks have permission to continue going. Let me just say that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Number 1, and maybe it's just fresh because I just played the guy and he beat me. Freaking Matt, man. Matt's saying, and it's in his tweets. It's in his tweets every week. So we gotta hear it from him in chat, and then we gotta hear it what he typed on Twitter for everybody to see. He's bad at offense. He's bad at defense. He's top 5 in rush defense statistically. Okay. It's hard to argue with facts. So Matt's a good player. Okay. This cycle, yeah, some guys are yo-yos a little bit because that's kind of how the way the cycle is. We like the parity, but the stick's getting old. However, I know this will have zero impact on Matt, and he's going to do what he's going to do anyways, and that's fine. I respect Matt. He's
I
sticking to
respect
his
that.
gun.
I think that's a good list for numbers 3 through 5. But 1 and 2, I think you just got wrong. I think, first of all, I respect Matt. And hey, Matt believes what he believes, and you are what you believe you are. And number 2, you were just wrong on as well. But it's a great list, honestly. Especially, I agree with Fig, Coop, and the Dan one. Really, that's a good list. That's a good list.
What would be your number one, Brian?
Honestly,
What you want?
my number one, the Josh Allen thing just pisses me off. It just pisses me off. I don't know why, but you got a 99 overall quarterback, and I tried having a heart to heart in social chat with Fig, but it's like, dude, like, no offense to Fig, but look at the SML all time win percentage, and he's at like 22% of his games are won, and it's like, okay, just take some ownership, have some accountability here. Like, you have Josh Allen, he is on the Madden cover. This guy is literally on the cover of the game this year. Like, maybe he's not Mahomes or Burrow.
He's coded to be bad, Brian.
He's
Don't you know
coded to be
this?
bad. Yeah, yeah. Don't get my heart rate up. I'm getting old. I'm fading fast.
All right, moving on. I don't want you to croak before the end of the broadcast here.
SML UT cards. We got 2 new guys, and if you guys don't know, SML UT, a little group of guys, myself, you, QP, and Bomber, all graded some cards, some players. We graded everybody, and now we're releasing 2 per show, kind of at random, but also if people comment and we kind of like who's in the comments, we'll kind of pick somebody. So anyway, first one, drum roll. Gilbert has now an SML UT card, 66 overall, ability gift wrapped. He's normal dev. What do you think about his overall rating, his ability, and his dev trait?
I think it's a fair rating. His dev trait is spot on. Anybody that's played Gilbert knows that somewhere around the middle of the second quarter, Gilbert just gift wraps you the game. He
Yeah.
just hands it straight to you
Oh.
via turnover, or he's clicking on like 5 guys and just diving and missing the tackle. Like, so I think that's very appropriate. And we gave him a little nice rushing score. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
He's got some underrated stick skills. I've watched some of his games. Can't underestimate the guy, as many of us know very well.
Yeah. I think gift wrapped is a good ability because he really does find a unique way to kind of hand you the game. But 66 overall, normal dev. You got to think, I'm guessing in Madden 98 or 99 when Tom Brady was in the game, if he would have been in the game now, he would have been like 62 overall normal dev. So Gilbert, don't give up. Like, you could still find a way to get a dev trade increase and work your way up. Another card, the next guy, Superstar Dev. This guy is a Sembardi champion. He was just complaining about not being on certain shows, so I wanted to say he's wrong. Dump now has an SML UT card, and here it is. 83 overall, unpredictable is the ability. 87 for his passing. Superstar Dev, Dump. Do you think we got that right?
Yeah, I think it's fair. We were pretty stingy with these ratings. Dump's going to look at this and be like, "This seems a little low." When he sees the rest of the cards come out, he'll probably be fairly balanced here. But we also took into account this cycle and how it's played and the teams that were selected. Now, don't give the man his flowers. He won a Simbardi. That's more than most of us have done in here. But I think the ratings are fair. He's a superstar dev too, so I mean, it's only going to go up in theory.
I think his overall is wrong. I look at his ratings and they're pretty good. I like his passing, and I think there's some amongst the rating crew. I think we were holding it against him a little bit, this Bengals team, which obviously did boost him. But Bomber got an 87, and I'm not convinced that Bomber's a better. No offense to Bomber, don't blow my house up. But I feel like Dump should at least be like an 86, and maybe Bomber should be an 85 or an 86. But
That's fair. There may
Bomber,
have been
a bias on
maybe been situations where a consistency thing, and maybe that's where the unpredictable tag comes into play.
Yeah, Dump is unpredictable. And I think that's in game. You never know, especially younger Dump was a little more unpredictable. You didn't know what you're going to get. And also in chat, are you going to get modest Dump or are you going to get Dump that's pounding his chest, letting you know that he's a Simbardi champion? So that's just Dump, I guess. Do you want to introduce our next segment?
Yes, I will be glad to. So the final segment, we'll call the Primer Minute.
Oh, no, we have like 2 more segments.
Oh, do we? Oh, sorry, I'm skipping around.
Don't get so ahead of yourself and try to end the show so fast, man.
All right, narratives. What's an SML narrative you'll defend with your life?
That SML narratives most of the time are real. Just like a joke, there's a little bit of truth. There's a seed of truth in every joke, and there's a seed of truth in every SML narrative. You look at it, and people like to be nitpickers, and they like to say, well, this isn't true, so the narrative's BS, and it's just narrative. Well, take a step back. There's probably some truth to this narrative, and you just don't want to accept it yourself. That's my hill I'm willing to die on.
No, I like that. It's funny the people that get so defensive about it. There's a reason they get so defensive about it.
Yep.
'Cause there's always an inkling of truth there, and we're all guilty of that to a certain extent. So that's a good point. Me, I'm gonna talk about morale. There's always been a narrative about morale having an impact on games, and I 100% believe that. And I'm speaking from a little personal experience. This is the first cycle I've had where I've had pretty bad seasons, dreadful seasons, and a yo-yo player, so to speak. So I've been on both sides of it. When you start dropping 4 or 5 games in a row, trust me, you get in situations where you're up in the 4th quarter and you just feel like the sky's falling. Like everything that could go wrong does go wrong. And I truly believe, yes, a lot of this is self-inflicted, but a lot of it is just stuff that's like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I think morale definitely plays an impact. If you let it snowball out of control, especially later in the season, it's kind of hard to dig yourself back out of that hole.
So you think 4th quarter things happen because you're in a losing rut, and it's not just a mental thing. It's morale.
It's most of it. I will admit, most of it is definitely like you have control over 99% of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But some things you don't have any control of, and it just feels like they happen at the worst moments.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen when you're winning games. You know what I mean? You're taking care of business. You know, you don't know. Maybe you don't notice it because you're not losing because of them. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I that's the way I believe it. I mean, morale definitely has an effect, or else it wouldn't be a rating in the game.
Yeah. Maybe. There is a feature somebody uncovered in a code of a FIFA game called DDA, Dynamic Difficulty Adjustment, which was almost subject to a FIFA Ultimate Team lawsuit because dynamic difficulty adjustments definement is the fact that it keeps a game close to, or maybe have certain animations or events happen to keep people closer in games and user versus user games. Some theorize that that's also in Madden, since FIFA is an EA Sports creation. So to your point, that stuff could happen and it could cause comebacks. You see some crazy events sometimes that allow people to stay in games, whether it's a missed pass or a bad read that should be an interception and magically the pass goes way out of bounds or something. I think tinfoil cap time maybe. No, that's good. Around the SML, what's an SML show without just talking SML stuff? And I think you kind of gave a good list here. What's your kind of around the SML?
Just a few things I noticed this week, or maybe a little bit of last week too. We got Colt 45 after being degraded by the SML with the website about 7 wins and this and that and throw into your hat back and whatever. Here we are, Colt's in the playoff mix. I think he's even in the mix for his division. Him and Tiny are kind of battling it out. Just going to give a little love to Colt. He's it's looking like he's going to get a 7th win. I haven't looked at the standings. Maybe he already has gotten it. But he can give the proverbial middle finger to Meats Meats can take the website down, which he probably already has.
Yeah.
'Cause he doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
But maybe Colt will post a website, bring it back up. Maybe he'll give the subscription back to Meats and and change the website up. But I give a little love to Colt. In case anybody missed it, because I almost did, unless Bomber had DM'd me like, ha ha ha, I got this. He got inside stuff with his defensive tackle. Um, I he got it mid-season. I'm not sure I guess his last game was the last one he lost to Pauly. So he
Yeah.
has lost a game since. But I am curious if that's one of those things that'll, could be a difference maker in playoff time. I know it's a guy that's trying to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's kind of been evasive from him this season. So I think that's something to keep an eye on, in case you hadn't heard, inside stuff on the Bears now. Then lastly, maybe I read this wrong, um, or maybe I heard it on the Truth with Paulie's show, but I think Dump promised a repeat.
Yeah. I think he
Now,
did.
I don't know if he promised it's going to be this season, but he promised he's getting another Simbardi, and I believe he mentioned this cycle. So I thought that was big.
That is big.
It's a big claim for a guy that got his first, but maybe that's one of those things where he just needed to get over the hump and give him
Yeah.
some confidence. But I thought that was interesting. He put a target on his back for sure with that one.
Yeah, that's a target on his back, and he won't get a repeat. Never again. He's not gonna win another Simbardi as long as he's in my conference. I mean, I respect Dump. He's a nice guy. Good man. But he's just not Dump the chump. No, that's all I'll say is Dump the chump. But Bomber and Colt, I mean, happy for Bomber. He hates inside zone, so him getting inside stuff is good for him. And Colt, hey, I hope Colt wins 7 wins and Meats buys the website. I mean, that'll be right. No, that's a good around the SML. And then to close the show out, AJ, you're a big wig in the SML. I don't know if many people know, but you're kind of a big deal. You hold some power, not only in kicking people and all this stuff, but also the future of the SML is in your hands. Like, you help decide and shape the future of the SML. So we have the Primer Minute, and who's better to help kind of talk about the Primer than you? Yeah.
Just want to give a small shout out to some of the guys in Primer. Everybody knows this time of year, it's summer, football season's ended, the game's a little tired. Some guys are getting a little Madden fatigue. Just want to give a shout out to some of the guys that have been in Primer for a while that kind of keep things active, keep things fresh, keep people accountable. You got Stavo, you got Noobs, you got T Steel, even though he bailed on us and came back a little bit. I like to give him a hard time about that. Even guys like the Truth that have been there for a while, over the past year or so. Just want to give a shout out to those guys. I've had a lot of turnover. We've been trying to kind of carry the torch a little bit until we can get some guys that are ready to go full cycle. Just shout out to those guys for staying active, for toting the line for the league. They respect our rules. They respect the people that are in the game. They hold people accountable that aren't abiding by the rules. They talk to admin. Those are all things we value, as I know you value with people like that in SML. So just shout out to those guys.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the Primer guys, obviously admins and the people in Primer. And hey, there could be an opening soon. So maybe one of these guys gets called up. Who knows? We appreciate you guys watching 4th and Inches. Hey, we call the show 4th and Inches because game on the line, or really any time, what am I going to do on 4th and Inches? We ain't punting. We ain't kicking the field goal. We going for it. And if you guys are kind of a fan of this show, comment below who you want to see on the next SML card, or DM me what your question is for the next On the Spot. We appreciate you guys watching. That's AJ. I'm Prime. Thanks again.